Welcome to Ag Marketing IQ In Depth. We're here today with Josh Linville, Vice President for Fertilizer at StoneX. And we were just talking that what the problem is that we're freezing. We got snow on the ground, and few people are thinking about how close we are to really needing to get that crop started. Plant 26 is upon us here in February. Welcome, Josh.
Hi, thanks for having me. You could not be more right. I mean, we're 30 days out from phosphate, potash, and hydrous application. We're 45 days out from the start of planting, and it seems like winter's going to last forever, but spring will be here before we know it.
That's it. And so as we're looking at input costs are really bothersome every year, but particularly in a year where we're worried about low commodity prices. What's the outlook for fertilizer and those costs for, our top fertilizer inputs?
Unfortunately, it's really hard to see short-term relief on these prices, and you're absolutely right. Fertilizer prices are always too high. I don't think there's a fertilizer price out there shy of them paying us to take it that isn't too low. But unfortunately, when we look at nitrogen, I don't see a lot of short-term relief coming. There's a lot of problems around the world. We've got China, who's a major urea exporter. They're sitting there saying right now we're not going to export until August. We may not have them for a big chunk of 2026. European production is still 75% of normal because of high gas cost. The conflict between the U.S. and Iran has a potential of shutting out 3 of the top 10 biggest global urea exporters in the world. So there's a lot of global events going on, in addition to the fact that we are now getting to that point in time where the U.S. market needs to start moving to a premium versus the world to call those imports to reach here in time to meet our spring demand. So unfortunately, can prices go lower? Absolutely. But there's a lot more roads that lead us to higher prices. Phosphate, it's another one. Unfortunately, a lot of that is globally driven. And China, again, back in the forefront, they're typically our world's biggest exporter. 8 to 10 million tons of exports a year is normal for them. Last year, barely over 5 million ton. And this year, again, not exporting until August. Then you talk about the Iran situation. Saudi Arabia is the number 3 exporter in the world, and that could be troublesome for traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Our own production rates have remained very low. This is why, starting 2026 calendar year, this is the highest phosphate to corn ratio that we have ever seen for the first 4 to 5 weeks of the year. Incredibly high and very impactful on farmers. The only thing we could look at as far as major inputs is potash and say, this one's decent. It makes sense versus the grain values. It makes sense versus its own historical values. Could it be lower? Yes. Would we be happy with lower? Yes. But all things considered, it's the only well-priced fertilizer that we have today.
Well, we'll take anything we can get when it comes to a decent price. So one of the things we're hearing a lot of economists talk about, we're talking about in agriculture, is, focus on what you can control. We can't force China to export what we need. But we can have a little impact on the price that we're paying for some of these. And how could farmers do that, Josh?
I think we can't change the markets. To your point, the markets are the market. It's a living, breathing entity that does what it wants to do. We may not like what it has to tell us, but what it tells us is what it is. And especially in times like this, it's very easy when it comes to farm marketing to get emotional, right? We kill ourselves all year to plant it, to spray it, to raise it, to harvest it, to put in bins and sell it. And when the market's basically sitting there saying, I don't think you ought to make any money doing that all year, it's easy to get depressed, angry, whatever that negative emotion is. And that makes us naturally want to just kind of step back and say, I'm not even going to watch this. I'm just going to wait until the absolute last minute and maybe something will be better. I understand that approach, but when it comes down to it, in these types of times, we've got to do a better job of staying more contacted. We all see volatility and change as a risk. It can be, if that's how you look at it. Volatility can also create a lot of opportunity, but you've got to watch for it. You've got to approach it that way. We've had some pretty spectacular opportunities here in the last several months, but they weren't there for more than a day or two. So more connected is probably your best way. And again, approaching for marketing unemotionally, a lot easier said than done. My wife would love to jump on here and tell you all the dumb, stupid, angry decisions I've made that haven't worked out once. The opportunities are there if we can watch for them.
So some of that is just having that order in ahead of time, because we were talking the other day, coming into the last WASD, when prices tanked, we thought there was going to be an opportunity for prices to go up. It's like, put that order in because everybody's going to be calling their broker when it hits,
Yes.
and the broker doesn't necessarily have time in that moment. But if that order is already in, it automatically drops for you.
Yeah, and we're always worried about, I want to sell the absolute high or I want to buy the absolute low. The only person that ever actually does that on a regular basis is the guy at the coffee shop that can't really back up what he's telling you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So what we're going to look at for farmers today is get those orders in, have that conversation with the broker ahead of time, and be ready to make the move when fertilizer hits a decent price for you for whatever it is that you need.
Yeah, and listen, one thing that I always look at, the kind of a different point of view that we have is we look at grain marketing. We don't sell every single bushel we have at one time. We don't just have one big sell order. We do this in layers when it makes sense. We can do the same thing with fertilizer. We can buy it in layers and say, I want to buy for these this number of acres. I want to buy for this 25% of acres. We can do the same thing. We don't have to sit there and just do one fell swoop. So again, that requires more work. It requires more relationships and conversations with your supplier, but it is a possibility and something I think we have to be looking at more.
Yeah, absolutely. Communication is key on that. And I'm having a plan and following the plan.
Yes.
Maybe that helps take some of the emotion out of it.
I think it does. It gets you away from the this is too high or this is too low.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And so I guess we'll close with one last thing, put a little emotion into it. It's almost Valentine's Day. Good time to remind all of our farmers, remember your spouse.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because you're going to hear in about a month and a half, you're not going to see him except for late at night and early morning.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for joining us, Josh. We look forward to having you on here again. And we'll look forward to seeing you at Commodity Classic as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Take care.